So this is the introduction to our altered book project. So the idea is that you've gotten an old book and we're going to be essentially destroying it to make a sculpture piece of art. So my expectations for my students are that you're going to get one section done per week, and the cover would count as one section. So I opened up the book this way, and I did some paper mache on here. I found some little doodads around the house to create a cover. These are supposed to be some little viruses up here. I did them in a cartoony way because it's supposed to express that we didn't really take the virus seriously when we first heard about it. You want to make sure that you're keeping it about your personal experiences and your point of view. Don't share anything that you don't feel comfortable sharing, but you want to make sure that this is about you. Art is supposed to be personally expressive, and you know that's part of how we grade our work, that we have those sort of connections. So make sure that your work is personally connected to you. Also, number 3, use what is available to you. You don't have to use traditional art supplies. I did hand out some supplies on our last day of school, but you can use anything that's around the house, and many of my videos will give you some ideas of things that you could use. And 4 is you're going to need to take a photograph of your work, whatever it is you did in that week, and then you're going to insert it into a Google Doc that I have already set up in Google Classroom. So you'll have to rename the document in your name, and then every week include an image until we get to the last week of school when we would normally close. So for my students, this is the spring semester of 2020. So you will probably have about 8 to 10 sections that you'll need to do to finish out the semester. You can obviously do more and continue on with this project, but that's what I need in order to close out your grades. So as you're doing the book, I have a list of some things that you can explore for possible sections, and this will be listed in the description and also in your Google Doc. But here it is. You could go over what's in the news, your predictions for what's going to happen, what I can do to help my family or how I have helped my family, what are my worries, photos from my COVID experience, what do you miss most, moments of hope, things that happen that are good, something you learned about your family that maybe you wouldn't have known before, how things have changed in your life, how do you feel about our leaders during this crisis, to notice the beauty around you and around your neighborhood, a memorial page if you know somebody who suffers through this crisis. What can you say in a drawing or painting that you can't say in words? What should we do as a world to have prevented this? You could do an artwork that includes images of the COVID virus. That's what I did on my cover. And then number 16, I would encourage you to understand that most of us in the United States came from another country and settled here. Find out what your countries of origin are and create a page spread to show news and what's going on in that part of the world. If you are a multicultural student, then just pick one culture or continent to focus on. So this way we can learn about what's happening elsewhere. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own world that we forget that there are other people that are going through very similar issues, and maybe in different ways. So just to show a few sections that I've already created, obviously I have my cover. I used a stapler to chunk my pages together. The first one I did with toilet paper, and I used some highlighter pens to just kind of write different words on there. So we've got quarantine, N95 masks, how long will it last, pandemic, respirators, feeling, fever, cough, loss of breath, vaccine. All these kind of worries are on the toilet paper because you saw people going crazy just buying toilet paper. The next section, I took some photographs during my first 2 weeks of the crisis. And here we have a photograph of me working in my garden. That's where I find peace, and some of my bean sprouts are already coming up. I'm learning how to bake bread, and sourdough bread is particularly hard to do, so I put that in there. I was very proud that I did it. Creating cookies for my neighbor, because they won't take money, but they've helped me a whole lot, so I just baked them some cookies as a thank you. And then stocking up at the grocery store. I've never bought 15-pound flour bags, but we've had to do that as we kind of prepare to make sure we have about 30 days of supplies in our homes if we can. The next section is what I call the pocket section. So I've encouraged people to create a pocket or include an envelope, and there are lots of different ideas of what you can put in that envelope, whether it's a letter to yourself in the future, or a prayer that you'd like to put in there, or remembering someone. There's lots and lots of things. Again, if you go through my videos, I discuss these in more detail. And I'm getting ready for my next section where I've put hole punches through the pages and then tie them together to make another section. So each section counts as a week of work. So I've got quite a few weeks here. We've got 1 week with just the cover, 2nd week with the toilet paper and the writing, next week with just the photos that I collected, and the following week now we've got a letter. This one is actually a letter to my father who had passed away, and just kind of talking to him as if I could, because it would be nice to be able to talk to him through this pandemic, and I can't, so I just wrote a letter to him and put that in the book. So got my list here. Again, it's going to be in the description, and just once a week, work on this a bit. Most of these did not take me very long. My videos are listed as day 1, day 2, day 3, but really it probably should be week 1, week 2, week 3. So you need to do 8 to 10, however many weeks we are out. That's how many I'm expecting you to work on. And you shouldn't stress over it. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, use Google Docs and our school email to connect with me, and I will check those during school hours.